Hello. Currently, we are looking at Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast. There is a forest in the northeast side of the Ivory Coast called Comoe National Forest. I had a short, I believe, regarding this not too long ago, but it's been a little while since I checked in on the area, especially regarding this giant, lush, vibrant national forest filled with all kinds of life that you would only find in Africa. Zebra, buffalo, forest elephant. Have all kinds of lizards and reptiles, all kinds of flora and fauna that's unique to this forest. And it is on fire. Make a time lapse of it so we can better get a sense of how much this fire possibly cleared out. Now we're going from beginning of January to year to date. As you can see that the beginning of January, this entire forest was already in trouble. Right here. Draw this out. That is a disturbingly large fire. See fire here. It is a disturbing amount of fire. All the darker spots, all the browns and blacks are darker spots, are areas of burning. When it lightens up, that's when the fire's old. And as of right now, this come down here to this fire right here. Just happen to zoom in on it. Look at the moisture level. See this? Yep. It might be hard to see because this fire is so small, but we can always confirm the presence of an active fire perimeter where there is a fire located by looking at the moisture level, because fire and heat drives away moisture and water, and that is what you're seeing is in a firestorm. It can be several hundred degrees, very hot. See if we can see this fire in natural color. Yep. It is churning out smoke. Before we get into the national forest, there appears to be a great deal of fires up here. And on borders just in case. Okay, so that's Burkina Faso. These fires are enormous, and I hope that these fires that started This national forest more results their neighbor. That would make 3 countries so far where fire was their greatest export to the neighbor. Venezuela to Colombia, Burkina Faso to Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, and what was the other one? Sudan to South Sudan. Just horrible conflicts, war crimes, people trying to find refuge anywhere. Over 12 million people have been displaced due to the conflicts in Darfur and Khartoum. A lot of people they just put in the wild. It's hard to survive, I can't imagine. Most people trying to escape the conflict between the rapid support forces and the Sudanese military would have to go out of the city into the wild, and that is hard. But not to get too much on a tangent, but here we go. 3. Now we can see the fires were still engulfing the Comoe National Park as of January 4th. We can see here in the top right corner. Push play. Completely flattened and overrun, and the fire comes back again to burn the fuel that wasn't burnt first wave. Let's go to moisture index. That is a pretty extreme fire. Wow. We can see it. That is fire. Right here. That's an actual wall of fire that we're seeing here in Comoe National Forest. Fires still are strong, stronger than they probably have been. We have these fires that are absolutely blazing. I hope I'm saying the name of the park correctly. Comoe National Park. I really couldn't find anybody saying the name of it. Yeah. This is looking bad. Like, this forest is being completely overrun by fire. You can see it all along the river system here, where it bottlenecks here and causing more heat and smoke in an area that was already burned. These are huge fires. These are not tiny forest fires that we're talking about. We're talking about one of the largest national forests in the world is being consumed by fire in 2 months. 2 months. Just getting worse. We're on the 24th here. These two fires meet. Pretty mean line of fires right here. This area looks smoldering. This little area right here. Just this one. Currently watching how the fire takes hold of the forest. How it spreads between individual sectors and canopies. Fire escapes the boundaries of the forest as well. It becomes lighter brown as the fire ages. These large brush fires that just pick up quick and they run a couple of kilometers before running out of fuel or just as night. More examples of the fire breaching the forest. After fire consumes the forest, firestorms continue to persist. They don't just hit each other and cancel each other out and bonk each other on the forehead. These two fires, or multiple fires, but we're simplifying here, is that they're waves that move through the forest, either at different elevations, and they will cross paths and just start sharing the fuel that the other one had left that did not burn, and continue on its firestorm path. One way to look at to a bit better visualize how these storms behave in an area that is just nothing but dry fuel. This whole forest is going up, and there doesn't seem to be much of an effort to put it out. Like, so why would we care about it, right? Every forest, every national forest, every protected site is one of the last, you know? Like, this is one of the last giant forests that we can find on Africa. A lot of our game reserves and other things like that. And it's not the same to having just an untouched wild. There's not much of this left, sadly. We can see the fire everywhere. North to south, the entire forest is going up. It's a lot of carbon putting up into the sky. If we're releasing a lot of smoke that's rather unhealthy. Nothing fries when there's smoke anyway. Nothing. Flame. Dozens and dozens of fires that are just racing around. These small firestorms that are just immediately setting fires and that will travel different directions. The way this looks, probably by the end of the month, these wildfires are going to completely decimate and gut this forest. Any animals that are caught in the fire won't survive. Not that, oh, they can probably evade the heat. No, it's like 700 degrees Fahrenheit whenever you're caught into the firestorm. A wildfire has that hot core. It's constantly moving. And many of the mammals definitely wouldn't survive their encounter with wildfire due to the extreme heat and selfish taking of oxygen nearby. Won't be able to hear a scream. It is monumental how much that we're seeing lost here. Is this more deforestation for cocoa planting? Probably not, because I doubt that they would want to destroy the entire forest. That's let's take a look. About 105 kilometers, 140 kilometers wide. 105 kilometers by, I mean, it's pretty irregular shape. I don't want to say it's any about doing up the area of it, but it's hard to guess just how much of this fire. 60 to 70% of this forest has had fire so far that we can see. So if there's an area that's below an area of green that we can't see because their roots are burning underground, we're not going to see that. Push play. These are very rapid, massive gains that we're documenting. No telling where the fires might have came from, but there's fires down here. What's going on? Strange. Ivory Coast has a great deal of wildfires that are occurring throughout the country. These fires are related. If a whole ton of flammable material just gets thrown out of the forest, a lot of material that can be burning that can fall elsewhere, cause fires to erupt, eventually race back into the forest to cause more mayhem. These are very, very, very terrible fires that we're seeing. This, from here to here, judging by rapid decline of moisture content, this fire is moving. This is very hot. Another wildfire that's from today. You can see it's similar, very hot. Zanzan region. Another wildfire that's outside the perimeter of the forest. People lighting fires on the outside of the forest and watching the thing burn. I don't understand it. This isn't the first time that we've seen West or East or Central Africa where fires burn for weeks at a time that rarely get put out. It just seems like every fire that I've egged in Africa, especially Senegal, Ghana, Sudan, South Sudan especially, is all on fire completely. Not a lot of news coming out of it, but besides that, it's been since mid-April when the Rapid Support Forces and Sudanese military began their conflict, and civilians had to evacuate. Over 11 million people. Put them in a wild situation, surrounded by weapons and fire with no military craft firefighting, possibly. I don't know how else you would expect to fight the fires in the wild when there's too many wild conflicts to have to try to contend with to lorry water to a site that's burning. Might be a greater journey, and who knows if it's enough water. Except this. How do you put out an entire national forest that's hundreds of kilometers in perimeter that is burning without being checked, without being... we're not expecting to see airplanes or anything like that on here, but it is tragic to see so much of this land here scorched to the ground. New fire here. Wow. Brand new perimeter acting up here. It's a lot of displacement. people displacement, plant displacement, animal displacement. Not everything survives, not everybody will survive. When you become a climate refugee. These are some pretty tragic scenes that are unfolding. It's national forest. This looks gutted. Let me moisture index. Since there's a drought, it'll complicate things looking at it like this. Severe drought. This fire is everywhere. We can see an active fire in the southwest, or the bottom left image scan. Hard to say just how much of this forest actually burned. And surrounding areas as well. Let's go back. '20th, 10th, December 5th. Okay, December 5th is the furthest back I will go. You can see just, it's lush, green, vibrant. It's December 5th from the scan. And this fire picks up pace, but this is weeks ago. It is now February 4th. Almost without a fire. the shot except for northern side section where river systems are heading south. I'm gonna push play now. It's menacing. These fires are terrible. I believe, let's go one more higher. Get the whole forest in the shot. Completely consumes this forest. And the darker it gets, the more fire there is, the more fire that's burned. It goes from this vibrant, lush, green forest, one of the largest national forests in Africa, dominated by fire, that's burning quickly for the past several weeks. There's going to be ash, carbon, or charcoal. Ash and charcoal is left. Bones of animals that couldn't make it and survive. But you see, there is another issue. Where you have elephants, you have water. Elephants need water. Elephants, adult elephants can consume over 600 pounds of wet food each day. Now, you take away thousands of tons of plant life that they feed on. Buffalo and other animals as well, not just elephants. All the larger animals like zebra. It's very disappointing, as we have failed as custodians of this land. Not trying to say that people anywhere are responsible for the direct wildfire that consumed this forest, but as a whole, society, it's not good. Not a good look. Where are all your trees? Your earth, where are your trees? People don't care. If they don't care now, they're never going to care. You're never going to make somebody that didn't give a damn about nature and how a tree actually functions, how it works. And I just mean how the tree survives, how it transports liquids up through its membrane beneath the bark, and how elephants will tear a tree apart. It is like a feast to have a group of elephants that will descend upon a tree, just tearing it apart, its bark, its water transport membrane, or just like rolls it around in its mouth. Elephants, if you consider trees people, if you consider trees living entities, then elephants are probably the most voracious predator on the planet when it comes to these. Because they will knock a tree over, they will rip off the branches, because there's one fruit on it that they want. And they can't even really digest, elephants can't even really digest fruit very well. they would have to try to eat it again after it comes out again and again. But they absolutely go crazy over marula fruit. Not sure if that's up here in the west, because this is the west closer to the ocean. We're seeing fires just completely ravage all that was left. There's a very, very small area that hasn't been burned. I want to say 88% of the 88% of no, 85% of this national forest is burned. Now I say that as from the vantage point that we have here. It might be worse than we're actually seeing because it's hundreds of feet of canopy to ground that's currently on fire. It's not just, oh, there's a wildfire in a forest. Now, some of these trees could be over 100 feet tall, 50 feet tall. And these fires can cause tree falls. A lot of different birds talking about shoebill storks. A lot of different critters call all this home. And it's being engulfed by fire. Like, there needs to be a hearing somewhere, United Nations, somewhere, regarding this terrible, terrible event. Just releasing the amount of carbon that's out of these trees is tragedy. And again, if you know people that hate nature, and I do mean that, like, they will freak out over a small animal. We have a chinchilla. I still can't believe the reaction sometimes that the people that own the critter responded like, oh my god, it's gonna get me. What? And bite you. Freak out over bugs, insects. I mean, I used to freak out over bees because they would sting me and die. I would be in horrible pain as a child. I would find the bee and be like, ah, it's good. Now it's just sad. I don't encounter bees too often anymore. Bumblebees. Always fun. We're talking about protected species in a protected forest in West Africa that is just being engulfed by fire. Find the beginning. Hopefully my audio is coming through much better than it has been the last couple of days. I made a lot of adjustments and I made sure to test them this time extensively before going live. This fire spreads so quickly. And it looks like it's just escalating from different flanks of the forest. It's not just one area in the northeast that the fire is taking place. It's literally 3 or 4 different waves of fire that are going through this forest. As they go through, cross each other, and they continue on their way to burn what's left. I want the next generation to know a forest. It's getting to the point that I think less and less people care. I'm not talking about chaining ourselves up to a tree or anything here. But where the public outcry regarding this forest that is just toast. This giant, beautiful national forest in Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast. It's absolutely insanity. The kind of fires that we're seeing. Tragic. It's a terrible blow to nature, the world, climate change. Talking about massive amounts of trees that take in massive amounts of water. Among other things, but just for a moment, think about just how many trees seized up. It's not really the tree part you're seeing that is the tree, of course. There's underneath it, connected to the roots, is what you would consider the tree. Trees are aliens. They are very strange, and they live underground. Fungus used to be that way. Biggest trees. Trees somehow came up and took over. The tallest tree 100 years ago was over 900 feet tall. The tallest tree now is under 300 feet tall. It's not that we're just running out of trees, we're running out of height. We're running out of wind-breaking trees. Altogether, help climates regulate themselves. If the trees couldn't survive in those climates and as native species, we're going to see a lot more loss. But this here is on another level loss, because this is an entire national forest that's massive. You can walk around here all day. Huge. Can I get a road? No roads. No roads inside the national park, just around it. I'll switch the ear to false color. So, the more darker spots you see, the less red you see, the more fire that burns. Take a look and push play. This is a massive national forest. It's gone. Completely gone. Push play. Now here we see in true color. See here. These smoke plumes here. Here. From here. The wind going southwest, southwest. So you see that there is fire, like smoke, that is visible on the 15th as well. The 15th of this particular forest was a big day for the fires that we saw in other satellite images that we had pulled up within the last 40 minutes. Huge amounts of smoke. It's a lot of smoke that we're letting out of this forest. Not us in general. I shouldn't talk like that, because the majority of people have nothing to do with this forest and might not even know it exists. But it is humanity that is folding it. Either there's no way to restore this. Gone. Millions of birds, large birds, the cuckoos, a lot of storks, different storks that nest at different levels. Some storks that nest on the ground, some storks that nest in trees. All of them would be devastated by this wildfire and have been devastated by this wildfire. It's not a question of which species might have suffered the most. The entire thing burned. And we're seeing it happen in real time. I don't know if at any point this fire, I'm literally struggling to find information regarding Comoe National Park, Ivory Coast. Yeah, I'm going to have to. Okay, so it's UNESCO World Heritage. It is. Oh, okay. Pull this up here. The World Heritage Convention in UNESCO, Comoe National Park, one of the largest protected areas in West Africa. This park is characterized by its great plant diversity. Due to the presence of the Comoe River, it contains plants which are normally only found much further south, such as shrub savannas and patches of thick rainforest. Brief synthesis. Comoe National Park, situated in the northeast of Côte d'Ivoire, with a surface of 1,149,450 hectares. Great plant diversity, wildlife species. Location, in fact, makes the property zone where the division of numerous West African plant and animal species mingle. The property contains around 620 plant species, 135 species of mammals, including 11 primates, 11 carnivore, and 21 species bird. Artiodactyla, 55 amphibian species, and 500 bird species. Brown-cheeked hornbill. yeah, everything in West Africa became rare because it depends on a forest to be able to live out most of its life. Because the larger birds require a huge, diverse diet. You wouldn't believe what white storks and black storks, what they will eat. And they will eat anything in a field. If it's moving in an open field, they will try to get it. Mice, snakes, it doesn't matter. So you see these birds that have great variety of food, and this just vanquishes the majority of it. Comoe National Park is one of the rare zones in West Africa that has maintained its ecological integrity. The property is sufficiently vast to guarantee the ecological integrity of the species that it contains, on the condition, however, that poaching is reduced. Property was inscribed on a list of World Heritage in danger in 2003 because of potential impact of civil unrest, which we're seeing in South Sudan with the Sud, the largest swamp in the world. We're seeing one of the largest forests in Africa, not just West Africa, become lost to fire quickly. We can see the smoke, and we can see the absolute drop in plant life as fire races on and reduces everything to ash. Where do we go from here? We can't replant the entire forest with native species. That would be what we would do as a species that wanted to protect this forest, that wanted to keep it safe, keep its biodiversity in check, intact. I'm sorry, not in check. Intact. No pro-poaching here. Absolutely unreal. So it is conservation since 1999, I believe. Rare plants and animals and species of flora and fauna only found in this area. Absolutely unreal. Whoa, go back one. On the 14th of January as well. These fires are enormous, and they're hot. Thing like this fire right here, the closer you get, extremely hot. Look at this. Look at this perimeter on this thing. It is an eclipse in this image, the satellite image. You can see the burn mark, it's crescent shape, and you can see its radiance. These fires are still burning in this forest as this scan is from today. This isn't something that happened in December that was forgot about. This forest is still actively burning, and it doesn't look like anything was done about it. I don't mean to sound cruel, but we just went through weeks of time lapses of different areas of the forest, and it never seemed to be that a fire was being worked, and if it was being worked, they're working towards the fire that's going away from them. So they're working on a fire that would be just racing as fast as it can, because it has canopies, it has... How would you even fight this fire? There's so much wildlife conflict to contend with, let alone the amount of water that you would need to put out an entire forest fire. And I do mean, see, this isn't the only forest fire right now. Argentina's had a forest fire recently, Chile has had a forest fire recently. Very recent. Not nearly as large as Comoe National Forest in the Ivory Coast. Do one of... You can see just how much moisture is lost. Remember, this is like a green sponge. You see that? How blue that is? The more blue you see, the more moist it is. The moisture richness, soil, plant life, everything that gives off that signal. And you can already see the fires making their way in. Push play. 13 scans. See, it's not just, oh, it's just animal and plant life. Why would anybody care about that? No, it's also a lot of cooling effect that this would have on the area. This would retain a lot of the moisture and release it instead of all at once. This is probably one of the worst fires I've seen since Northern Territories, Canada, last year. Like, the smoke is strange because it's just these little fires running around doing all of the horrible damage. And again, this is properties. No, none of that right now. Date of inscription, 1983. It's been a list World Heritage in Danger 2003 to 2017. Now it's gone. And I do mean gone. This isn't a small fire that eliminated a few bushes. This is one of the largest forests that was still standing on the planet. We failed. Fire and heat will drive away moisture and water. Is exactly what we're seeing here. Smoke from wildfires disrupts climate locally because it breaks up the clouds, causing them to lose their precipitation as the clouds will avoid the smoke. You don't want to become smoke. So smoke, especially like this, will tear apart precipitation that is meant for elsewhere. Will tear it out early. So maybe they were expecting rainfall, but due to the smoke there wasn't much cloud coverage to support it. The precipitation never fell. Now we're seeing this just gone. Again, this is Comoe National Forest in Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. And just seeing how fire took over. And just completely, I would say, incineration. It's massive. If anybody were trying to burn a little square of their own, you try to get another a bit of land. You can see fields that are bumping up. It's on the northern side. This is tragic, environmentally tragic, and in so many ways, there's so many animals that suffer as a result of this. No one will be held accountable. Nothing has been done as far as I'm concerned. This whole fire is gone. This whole fire consumed this forest in a matter of weeks. Looks like beginning of December it started and it hasn't stopped yet. Still a lot of areas, because you remember, tree falls that's 100 feet, 50 feet tall, becomes 50 feet long, and breaks apart and becomes dry. We're seeing a lot of escalations in fire behavior, not stopping, and it's just moving around in the path of least resistance around the forest. See this along this river system here. Play. All the dark blacks and browns are fires. They lighten up, they become less brown. It is extreme loss biodiversity that we're seeing here. Stunning, really. Alright. I think we looked at enough of this region for now. Again, I thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe the stream and the channel, respectively. And I will be back with another stream, because there's no shortage of, I don't want to say climate injustice, because that's probably a swift ticket to being murdered if you're trying to call out anybody for climate injustices. It's not, this is probably as close as I get. I'm not a journalist. Do not have any protections. So when you have a catastrophe such as this, do you think people would want to keep it under wraps, or would they want international attention due to the fire ravaging what is an international gem? Again, this forest is serious. And it's both serious and on fire. It is massive. But it's been bumped down before because of deforestation. This is not just deforestation that we're seeing here. This is just a massive loss of different trees, flora and fauna. Everything that survives on one thing depends on another thing that depends on the forest still having shrubbery. Insects, bugs, mammals. This is gone. I'm not being hyperbolic. This really looks gone. Was hoping that the next time I check in on this national forest that it would be not teeming with fire still, because it is the 3rd, and we went back as far as December 4th. Still seeing I'm sorry, it was December 5th. You see the fires up here. Looks like they're just starting, but there's no way of knowing how or why. We just can see them on here, here, here. 3 very large regions that fire that have been allowed to burn, migrate. Smoke transits, makes everything sick, and everything wants to run from the smoke. It is only natural to want to escape smoke, because nothing thrives under smoke. Everything will choke. And what we're seeing here is an alarming amount of smoke that gets caught up in the trees and other shrubbery, bushes. Smoke's not being let out in a way that looks healthy, I could say. It's getting stuck in the forest itself, trapped under like a dome, making everything sick, causing fires to erupt in different areas because the smoke is going to allow a temperature difference, by heat not being able to escape as rapidly as it contend with smoke as it rises. And again, we have fires just over in the neighboring, I believe this is Togo or Benin. December 5th, you see these fires just east of the Comoe National Forest. This is Togo. The next one over is Benin. Just rips land apart. It fades away, but then fire is coming again. In the same pattern that it was that we just saw. I don't want to go too far away from the subject of the stream. You can see fires here on the 5th of December on the outside of the forest. Play. Alright. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I will return with another stream for a short, probably another stream, because Australia is looking at a big heat wave coming up. So Western Australia will be a focus of attention going forward, because it's going to be hitting over 40°C for days at a time. And the last time that happened was a major drought, but there is plenty of soil it's very well saturated from Northern Territory to Queensland, but not so much Western Australia. It's a big problem with drought. So this big heat wave coming up is going to affect Western Australia probably the most out of all the Australian states. Alright, thank you. Take care.